Welcome to the Kimchi Boys podcast, where we talk about science and all that good stuff because we just love to talk about science. Isn't that right, Jake?
That's right, and today we are going to talk about how what plants need for growth, such as fertilizers, and how this relates to the nitrogen cycle.
Let's talk about the first part of the question, what plants need for growth.
Well, to summarize the main points, in order for plants need to grow, they need sunlight, water, and soil, which we all are familiar about.
Yes, but let's talk more specifically about how the fertilizer affects the growth of plants.
Well, most fertilizers used in farming are consisted of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium compounds. Potassium is used by plants to regulate water usage so that when a drought occurs, the plant has a better chance of surviving. Potassium is also used to provide disease resistance to the plants. Nitrogen, on the other hand, is used by plants in the form of nitrates or ammonium ions to create amino acids for proteins that are required for cell growth within the plant.
And how are fertilizers related to the nitrogen cycle?
Before we talk about that, let's talk about how the nitrogen cycle works. The nitrogen cycle works through fixation, nitrification, or denitrification. We won't talk about fixation as it only accounts for a small portion of the nitrogen produced. Most of the nitrogen produced is through nitrification and denitrification, more specifically through bacteria and microorganisms. These bacteria and microorganisms convert excreted waste from animals into ammonium, which is later converted into nitrates. The plants absorb the nitrates to grow and to be later eaten by animals to form the cycle. As mentioned earlier, fertilizers contain nitrogen for plants to grow healthier. Another thing fertilizer does it allow, allow for plants to grow it in large quantities. Without the abundance of nitrogen from fertilizers, the majority of the world's population would starve.
Now let's talk about how some crops counter the problems of needing a lot of fertilizers to grow large and healthy by genetically modifying those, making them GMO crops.
But what are GMOs exactly? According to the World Health Organization, GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, can be defined as organisms in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally. For example, let's say you had a dog who was especially loyal to you in comparison to other dogs. Since the owner liked the traits of that dog, he would do what any other owner would do and breed that dog so that future dogs would have the same beneficial trait, but in a more pronounced way. These traits are found in the gene, which is why it is referred to as genetically modified. Humans have been doing this for years, since ancient times, like the cow you eat. Long ago, people wanted to have cows which were big and muscular, so much like the example of the dog mentioned earlier, humans bred cows which had that distinction in their genes so that more of these cows would be more apparent. However, as time progressed, achieving the genes in organisms we want have hugely developed to the point where we could genetically engineer them ourselves through coding the genes of organisms in their DNA. Ever since DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, a complex molecule which guides the growth and development of organisms, was discovered, scientists have been researching them and unlocking the secrets to creating life. Through their research, scientists have found out that DNA is made up of four nucleotides, A, T, C, and J, G, that are paired to make up a code that creates the traits of an organism. In 1980, a microorganism was genetically engineered to absorb oil in case of oil spill, saving millions of aquatic animals. Through genetic engineering, we can choose the traits we want exactly, from larger and more vitamin-rich fruits to saving plants which suck up all the carbon dioxide in the air, possibly reversing global warming. Sounds good, right? However, there are a lot of people voicing their concern about GMOs with their myths. One myth is that modified genes can spread to other crops and plants and ruin their ecosystem. However, scientists have debunked that myth, saying that farmers can prevent the modified and unmodified plants from pollinating during the same time and instead pollinate separately in different time frames, thus not allowing the DNA of the modified plants to interfere with the ecosystem of the unmodified plant. Another myth is that GMOs can kill insects which benefit plants. This specific type of crop is called Bt crops and are known to have borrowed a gene from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, which kills the digestive system of insect pests. This allows the crop to independently have its own pesticide. However, it is found that Bt crops only harm a very small portion of the insects which benefits the plant. Thus, it's not a big of a problem. In conclusion, GMO is a very controversial topic. However, seeing that the human population and the demand for food is increasing, GMO may as well be the solution that humanity has been waiting for.
Okay, that's it for guys today. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Good night.